RMA Arms here, and today we're going to be reviewing my gun. This is the SIG P320 M17. I really like this gun, so I'm really excited to see what everybody else actually thinks about it. The M17 is a 9mm semi-automatic double-stack striker-fired handgun that was produced in 2017 after it won the Army's XM17 Modular Handgun System competition. And we're going to go ahead and get into the pricing. The MSRP on this gun is $768. However, we were able to find it at a local shop for only $589, which brought it to about $630 total. It comes with 3 magazines, one 17 round and 2 21 round. However, I will say because of current unprecedented times that we are in, I did have to mail in for the 2 21 round magazines due to lack of inventory. It also comes with a super cool M17 patch, a lock, a chamber flag, a manual, and also a little bit of advertising for a collector case if you choose to display and protect this uniquely collectible firearm instead of have fun and actually shoot it. So why would you want to buy this gun? Well, I personally bought it so I could learn to use a gun, be comfortable with a gun, and become proficient with a gun. So it will be really good for home defense. You could use it for concealed carry. However, I wouldn't recommend it if you are a tiny person. It is a full-size gun. It will be a little bit harder to conceal. You can use it just to have fun at the range. You can use it for competitions, or if you're in the military, because it is the current gun that the military uses. Okay, let's get into the specs for all you details people out there. This model is actually the civilian version of the military's M17. The only real difference is that the controls are made of a different material and have a different coating. The gun is 8 inches long, 1.6 inches wide, and 5.5 inches in height. It has a 4.7-inch carbon steel barrel, 29.6 ounces in total weight, a 6.6-inch sight radius. It has a flat dark earth polymer frame and a Coyote PVD coated slide. It comes with SIG Light front and rear night sights, a manual safety, and the slide has also been cut for a Romeo 1 Pro, or as we have on this particular gun, the Leupold Delta Point Pro Red Dot. Okay, so let's get into the ergonomics. We all four shot this gun quite a few times and we have pretty diverse input on it. So let's just go ahead and look at the footage from the range and you can see for yourself what we thought. So the ergonomics for me, that's one of the main reasons I picked it. The difference between this gun and a different gun, there were 2 up and running. This one, I'm able to keep strong enough grip without being overly strong, and I don't get misfeeds. And then also, the grip on this isn't too rough. The other gun that I was considering as well had too rough of a grip, and by just shooting it for like, I don't know, just a couple magazines worth, it was rubbing my hand raw, and I really didn't like that.
All right. Okay, so the ergonomics on the M17 are actually pretty good. I am a big fan of how the gun feels in my hand, even though realistically that doesn't really matter in the big scheme of things. What really matters is, you know, obviously fundamentals and performance and shooting. But as far as the overall grip, I do like the angle. The angle is more vertical, the angle is more of a, I guess, an M&P style, if you will. I've always been more of the 1911 style vertical grip. I do like the kind of roundedness to it too. The texture is really nice. There are no finger grooves, but I will say between the trigger guard, the grip, it's not too gritty, it's not going to mess up your hands, but it definitely gives you a good feeling grip. I like the tang here, or the beaver tail, that allows you to get as high as you possibly can. Yes, this gun does have a high bore axis. However, the way the grip is and the way the frame is, it allows you to be able to manage the recoil that this gun produces.
It's got a safety on it. Now, in the beginning, I was a new shooter. I loved this and I always used it. I made sure it was on when I was done shooting, and then sometimes I forgot to put it back down when I tried to shoot again. However, for me, it was comfort. it was a good training wheel to start out with. Now I can't stand it. Like, this is coming off as soon as possible because it just gets in the way of my grip, and I'm frustrated with the safety now. So good thing at first, because I'm a beginner shooter. Now I'm ready for my training wheels to be taken off, so that will be removed.
I'm never really a big fan of the safety, thumb safety on a gun. This isn't too bad. It doesn't bother me a lot. I do like on one-handed style where you can actually rest your thumb up on there and get some good grip there. That helps for one-handed shooting. Other than that, I think it's a waste of space. I really don't like a thumb safety. Don't care for it.
It's all right. I would remove it. I don't think it's not far forward enough that resting my thumb on it would benefit me in any way. It's just not where I rest my thumb, but I think it's a good option. Some people buying firearms, in my experience, they want a thumb safety specifically. It just makes them feel better buying it if they have kids.
All right, so I was just doing a reload drill, shooting 2, reload, shoot 2. And one thing I noticed, now I shoot a lot of Glocks and a few other guns, but mostly Glocks. Switching over to this P320, with my smaller hand size, I wear like a medium glove. I went to hit that slide lock, and just in the heat of the moment, I couldn't quite get it with my shooting grip. So I had to use my other thumb, kind of like an AR-15. I had to come over and hit that slide. I could have also, you know, hit the optic here to manually do the slide. But something to keep in mind there, that button, for me, maybe if you have bigger hands, it won't be an issue. But for me, hitting that slide stop with my right hand was kind of hard because of the safety lever.
You can actually also remove the safety, but there are a couple of details that we found out from our trial and error that we're going to discuss in a separate video, so make sure you watch out for that.
Magazine button. Magazine button is easily reachable with a grip. I don't have to break it too much. Magazines fall nice and free, nice and easily. One of the things I do like about these frames being a little bit taller is that because of my grip, I usually am pushing the slide lock down. So that means with my grip pushing this down, I get a dead trigger a lot. With this gun, I get a lock back almost every single time. I don't think I've actually had it not lock back on me. So I know that if I'm gonna go empty, bam, slide lock, I know I'm empty, time to change the mag and get it back to work.
Okay, so a little bit of context here. This is my first gun. I love this gun. You know, it's very special to me. So this trigger is the trigger that I use to compare every other trigger. So I'm gonna speak about it in that way. I think it's pretty standard in terms of like a stock trigger. It's not super hard and it's not super light. It's just kind of in the middle as far as triggers go. The M&P 2.0, a friend of mine has an Apex trigger on that particular gun. The first time I tried it, I was like, ooh, I love that one a lot better. It's less pressure to pull it. It also has a safety trigger and it is flat. So I like that a lot better. The round is fine. I'm going to change this trigger eventually.
At RMA Arms, we kind of have a consensus that the 320 trigger is a little bit different. It's got a little bit of a clunkiness to it. It's not like every other trigger out there. It's not a bad trigger, but it may not be my personal favorite trigger.
The reset isn't too bad. The brake is pretty, I would say the trigger brake's around 6.5 pounds, maybe 6 pounds once it's broken in. I'm not a big fan of curved triggers, so I would prefer to switch it out with a flat trigger, flat face trigger, or an Apex trigger of some sort. Everything about shooting and being accurate really comes down to your trigger press. So whether it's a crappy trigger or a really nice light trigger, you can get really good shots with all of them if your trigger press is really good. So for instance, I was standing about maybe 15 yards back doing one-handed shots to the A zone, and then I moved up and put a couple shots to the head zone. Obviously, it didn't go exactly where I put the dot, but it got pretty close. But I feel like for a gun out of the box, the trigger is good enough to where I feel like I can make really good, accurate shots at distance, even one-handed. I'm happy with that. I'm actually a little bit impressed with it. I figured I was gonna pull the shots a lot more with the trigger being curved and with it being a little bit heavier than what I'm used to.
I actually like the gun altogether. It's I think the straight trigger would probably be a little better feeling. For competition, lighten the trigger, but the trigger actually, it's not my favorite, just dry firing it. It feels kind of dinky, which is normal for SIG, but whenever you're shooting it, you don't really notice it. I think it's actually not a bad trigger. There's room for work in it, but for a duty gun, I think it's more than good.
In terms of recoil, this gun is very manageable. The bore axis actually sits higher, so naturally you're gonna have less leverage on the gun. But despite that, even shooting one-handed, it's very easy to shoot, manage the recoil, and come back to your sight picture pretty quickly, for me personally.
A thing I love about what SIG does is with their takedown lever here is something that is perfect for my support hand to get down and press down like almost like a gas pedal, if you will. And that actually gets really nice and high. I can get high up on that grip and I can push down on it, and I can manage the recoil a lot better with that takedown lever there. So it's really nice that they do that. I wish more guns would do that.
All right, in regards to accuracy, let's first be honest with ourselves and understand that pretty much 90% of people can't outshoot their stock barrel. That being said, all four of us are in agreement that this is a very accurate gun. We have shot this gun from 5 yards to 50 yards, and as long as you have a good trigger press and you're not anticipating too much, you're going to be able to put good groups on the target. Alright, so we all found this gun to be very reliable. We shot multiple kinds of ammo through it. I personally have shot over 1,000 rounds through it, and there weren't any issues, honestly. The only issue that we actually ran into was when testing it in the rain. It did drop into the mud during a magazine change, and instead of cleaning it off, we wanted to see what would happen, and of course, we ran into some feeding issues, but once we wiped the magazine off and there wasn't any mud, there were no problems. But honestly, any gun that went through that probably would have issues as well.
So, because I dropped my magazine directly in the dirt, we have some wet North Carolina clay going on here. Because I dropped it in there, it stopped the follower from locking the slide back, even though the magazine's empty because of where that mud landed. It's pretty interesting. Heyo. We got a lot of dirt in our chamber there.
It didn't work.
She is very dirty.
This is the
Whoop.
It didn't feed correctly. It's like a double feed. Unless that's a magazine issue. Has that ever happened with this?
Yep.
Same thing. It must be the magazine. I'm assuming it's because the mag got dirty. Clay got in there, but it was doing that consistently. I'm assuming that means the mag follower isn't coming up evenly, like it's not coming up in the front enough, so the bullet wasn't able to get that the right angle on the feed ramp. Let's see if it does it again. This one has dirt in it. That's clay too. There we go.
All right, let's get into the accessories. So there are no shortage of accessories for this particular gun. You can get red dots, slides, sights, compensators, etc., etc. You get the idea. The holster that we're running on this is the T-Rex Arms Ragnarok. The aftermarket triggers run from Apex, Agency Arms, and other companies as well. And because this gun is built as a modular system, SIG has a lot of options from small to large, and even an X5 Legion frame that you're able to use with this gun. A couple of other companies other than SIG, Polymer 80 is a company that has some frames available, and there are a couple more out there. Okay, so the takedown of this gun is actually pretty easy. First, always, safety check the gun. Lock the slide back and take the magazine out. After that, you're going to rotate the takedown lever clockwise. From there, you just release the slide, pull forward, and it comes straight off. You then can take out the recoil spring and the barrel, which makes it super easy to clean this slide. And even taking the trigger mechanism out is very easy. Just pop the takedown lever out, pull up on the front of the mechanism by the slide rails. Be sure to move the trigger back so it will clear the hole. Rotate it up a little bit and just pull straight out. And now you're ready for cleaning, changing out your trigger, the safety, or changing out the actual grip module. And putting the gun back together, just do all of those steps in reverse and make sure it's functioning as you put the gun back together. So in conclusion, we all really like this gun. It's a good price for everything that you get. We all found it to be super comfortable, easy to use, accurate. Adam had a great time shooting it. Mike has been actually considering the X5 Legion, and this gun has convinced him to go ahead and move forward with that. And after shooting this gun, Ricky has actually gone and bought his own P320.
So my thoughts on the SIG P320 is it's a great gun. Overall, it's a fantastic gun. I think that I'm more of a Glock guy, although I wouldn't say I'm a Glock fanboy, but Glock 19 was my first handgun. So I'm a little bit more towards Glock than I would be to like a SIG 320 or something like that. I have a little bit more time with the Glock than I do this, but I would have no problem transitioning over to this as I've seen so far. Now reliability and things like that would definitely come into an issue, but from what I understand, these are very reliable. From our experience, they've been reliable unless you drop some mud in the magazine or something like that.
So I don't have a lot of complaints about it. I actually like a lot of things about this gun other than the thumb safety. I think this is great. I'm actually really interested to try the X carry or the X5 frame and really see how much of a difference this makes, if it's any better. But so far, I love the way the gun is stocked.
I think it's a good gun. It looks cool too. It's peanut butter, so it'll get you a lot more followers on the gram.
And I think you all know how I feel about it. I absolutely have fallen in love with this gun. I won't be trading it anytime soon. I'm going to start using it for competitions. It's definitely my go-to, and I absolutely love it. So that's it. That wraps up this review of the 6-hour P320 M17. If you actually own this gun, let us know about your experiences in the comments. We would really love that feedback. Also, if you have any suggestions for guns or videos that you would like to see, also let us know in the comments. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on the notification button. Thanks for watching.